Knock, knock. Who's there? Your nightmare.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the newest edition of the Minority Report. As always, I am your head minority in charge, Gus. With me, as usual, is my biracial consigliere, Jay Shell.
How's it going, everybody?
Hello, Jay Shell.
Hello, Mrs. Veach.
So this week, this is Halloween. This is Halloween. I don't know the rest of the words.
It's good.
This is our Halloween edition.
Imagine, if you will, a month of all Halloween shows. From the macabre to the creepy.
Which is bewitching. So this is the Halloween edition of the Minority Report. We want to talk about some nostalgic things, and we're going to talk about our favorite horror movies and shit like that. Mm-hmm. But first, I wanted to talk to you. I know you had wanted to, it's been a couple of weeks, you wanted to talk about something that went down with one of your favorite nighttime talk show hosts. Usually when I say one of your favorite, it means that you don't really care for them.
Nah.
Now, this is a person that you have like almost a personal issue with.
Let's not go nuts there. Like, I've never met the guy, don't know him in real life. I just don't like his work.
You wouldn't piss on him if he was on fire.
Nah. And we're talking...
That's some personal hate, dude.
I'm saying, we're talking about Jimmy Fallon. As you folks have... Mr. Break Every Sketch. Mr. Slaps table.
I'm going to cut you off every time you talk.
Exactly. Yeah. Mr. Pick Me Energy. So this has been going on for like a couple weeks and everything.
He got picked last in dodgeball.
He did, yeah. So it's been exposed that Jimmy Fallon has created a very extremely toxic work environment.
Oh, wait, when you said exposed, I thought something else. Toxic work environment? What'd he do?
Let's see here. So he is just like treated like, backstage personnel with disrespect. There's also an issue with his alcoholism. But basically just being an overall asshole. And honestly, I'm not really shocked. I'm going to tell you why I'm not shocked. Because like we've mentioned before, he has pick-me energy. And as you know, folks with pick-me energy, basically it's where they want the attention. They have like that whole like choose me. And they'll throw people under the bus, to do it. And so... Fallon, like I've never been a Fallon, like ever since his SNL days, I've always found him annoying because of the whole like, let's break in every sketch. And it all started with that whole Blue Oyster Cult sketch, with Christopher Walken, the whole more cowbell.
Oh, yeah.
And so it became like an iconic sketch. But let's face it, hot take here, that sketch was never funny. It was never funny at all.
I mean, Chris Kattan and Will Ferrell kind of made it funny with Christopher Walken. But I wouldn't say that it's in their top 10.
Well, it's just like it's such an overrated sketch. Like it's not a funny sketch. Like because it's
well, the whole sketch is not what people like.
Yeah.
It's just the way Christopher Walken said, "I got a fever." And the only cure is more cowbell.
But if you take away Christopher Walken, what else do you have?
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying. The only reason why people remember it is because of Christopher Walken. Mm. Nothing else. Because nobody can quote any other line from anyone else in that skit. The only thing people quote are the Christopher Walken part.
See, and that's the thing. Like, if you can quote only one thing about that sketch, then it's not really a memorable sketch.
No.
Yeah, people hype it up because Will Ferrell was doing this whole, like, what do you call it? Chew the scenery thing that he always does.
Yeah. With his belly sticking out.
And it was basically a whole like it represent everything that's unfunny about early SNL.
See, the difference is between that one and like say was it Matt Foley? Mm-hmm. Okay, David Spade you can see breaking in that Matt Foley sketch.
Yeah.
But there's a reason.
Right.
Because Chris Farley was fucking
Chris Farley was just a fucking amazing talent.
Who I give credit to in that very first sketch they did with Matt Foley is Christina Applegate. She didn't break at all.
No. And
she didn't break at all.
They were able to keep it together.
And how could you not break when you have Chris Farley behind you going, do you want to end up living on a van by the river?
Exactly. And also
the funniest part of the skit, see, this is what I mean about remembering the whole skit. When he goes, what do you want for your life? Where do you want to end up? She goes, I want to live in a van by the river.
Yeah.
Oh, that you're going to end up living by a van by the river. It's like,
and like, you know, Chris Farley doesn't get enough credit as being a professional because he does the funniest fucking shit and he's still able to keep it together.
he keeps it together.
Yeah.
Where a Fallon,
He's like-
even he's reciting his lines. He's like, "Aren't I funny? Please, somebody tell me I'm funny."
Honestly, I always thought that he was like one of the reasons why SNL in the late 90s and early 2000s were the shits.
Yeah.
Because he was a detriment because he always had to like, you know, do that whole like giggling thing. And they were during sketches that weren't funny at all.
And didn't he host Weekend Update?
Yeah, he did with Tina Fey.
He's barely memorable.
Yeah.
The time from that time, the Weekend Update that I remember being funny was Amy Poehler,
Yeah.
and Tina Fey.
That's because they vibe well together.
They killed it.
Yeah. They had the chemistry. But I have to give big ups to Tracy Morgan.
Yeah.
Because
Not
he
killing
said
him?
Yeah. Because like Tracy Morgan said that like, you know, he didn't fall for that bullshit. Like he did not like when Fallon broke sketches. He thought it was unprofessional. So he told Fallon, "You do that shit, I'm gonna kick your ass," and rightfully so. Because what made the whole breaking thing, not only does it ruin the sketch,
Right.
it takes away the spotlight from everyone onto him.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's pick me energy. He's killing the sketch at the expense of everyone.
Well, if you break character on almost every sketch you're in, maybe you're on the wrong kind of show.
Oh yeah.
You're on a live sketch comedy show. And if you can't keep it together, you shouldn't be on the show.
So yeah, so that's why I'm not shocked that Fallon would be like, you know, exposed as an asshole.
Yeah.
Because it's always like, because like, listen, I was in drama club when I was in high school. All the kids that wanted like the spotlight and everything were complete dicks to the other kids and everything.
So you're saying he's a drama club kid?
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so the allegations, it's 2 current staff members and 14 former staff members on the show told Rolling Stone that he was verbally abusive and routinely yelled and demeaned his workers.
No shit.
And yeah, so he would act like this whole like, you know, jolly, like nice guy persona, like doing like all like these games with like the celebrities and everything. But backstage was a completely different story. And so he did the whole like empty apology thing to his colleagues and tried to dispute the allegations. But he only apologized because he got caught. That's how it always is. That's why these like public apologies and everything after the allegations surface feel empty. Like because you're caught and you're only doing this because your PR reps told you to do so to try to fan the flames. And so that's why I never bought into his whole like nice guy act, because not only was it annoying, but he comes off as fake. You know, like when you look at his interviews are unbearable to watch because not only is he always kissing ass, but he's interrupting. And the celebrities would have like a anecdote and they'd be humorous anecdotes, but he's laughing like he's watching like early Pryor, and it'd be the same thing. Laugh out loud, what's it called? Like lean back, clap your hands, and then slam the table. It's almost like a robot, you know what I'm saying? And that doesn't make for a good talk show host, you know? It just makes for someone who's just like a tryhard, you know what I'm saying?
Honestly, you know well, of course, Johnny Carson was the best. The one that from recent years that was actually funny and a great host was, what's his face? Craig Ferguson. Craig Ferguson.
Craig Ferguson's dope.
He had natural chemistry with his guest. And they were fucking funny, dude.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he brought out a lot of good moments because the reason why is because he treated it like a conversation, not just for where they can plug like their latest book, movie, TV show, and everything. He treated it like a conversation. Like I loved when like every time an interview starts, he had like a card and he would rip the card out to show that we're unscripted. We're just gonna flow and like give you a good like interview and everything.
Right. Like there was a recent one where I saw he was in interviewed. Well, no, not recent, but I recently saw a clip of him interviewing Scarlett Johansson.
Oh yeah.
And he was known for like his double entendres and
he's very flirty.
Yeah. And she says something back to him, and he's like, "Oh, I knew there was a reason I liked you." He's like, he goes because she just came back right at him with it.
Yeah,
so.
and that was like what was great about his interviews is that like he was just like he was basically flirting, but it was like very respectful flirting, and it was known that it was just.
It was banter.
It was banter.
Yeah.
It was banter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And same thing with Graham Norton. Like I love how Graham Norton interviews because
it's very casual.
Yeah, it's casual, but he puts over the guest. Like, okay, it's my name on the marquee.
Yeah.
But they're the reason why you're watching the show.
Like one of the clips that I love is when he lets what's his name? Tom Hiddleston do his impression of him.
Yes,
it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, he did an impression of Graham, of De
Graham,
Niro, right in front of them.
Yeah. So, but going back to Craig Ferguson real quick, one of the things that he liked to do, and one of his actors gave it right back to him, which is hilarious. He goes, "Okay, well, let's end on an uncomfortable silence." And and he did it with one actress. She goes, and she's all seductively this English actress. I can't remember. She's like, I don't want a comfortable silence. He's like, oh, so what do you want? I was like, oh my god.
Oh wow.
I was like, excuse me, we're watching.
Right.
But he's underratedly funny.
Yeah.
Craig Ferguson. I saw one of his stand-ups, and it's actually pretty fun. I don't think he started out life as a stand-up comedian, but he was. Yeah. He's pretty good at it.
My mom.
I'm not sure why he ended his run on the show though. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. My mom. She got to meet him because she.
Really.
Because my mother, she is a retired Army Reserve, and she was deployed to Germany back in like 04, 05. And he was part of the USO tour. And so she didn't know who he was. Right. She just thought he was very charming and funny. And so I remember when she came back from her deployment, she showed me her like a photo album of like, her and her.
And you're like, holy shit.
Yeah. She was like, "Oh my god, that's Craig Ferguson." And she's like, "Oh yeah, he's very nice." Like, "Mom, you never heard of him?" No. Like,
I mean, let's face facts. Your mom probably didn't. I mean, your mom's a little bit older. And
yeah. But
she's not really into watching too much TV.
Right. But she said that he was very charming. He was very respectful, very nice. Would talk to everyone, have a conversation, and like, you know what? I'm not shocked that he's a class act.
You know what I think ladies like about him too? It's the Scottish brogue.
It's the accent.
It's the Scottish brogue.
And he said that. Like, I'm only successful because of my brogue. Like, Americans love the brogue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And anytime a man has a Scottish brogue, the women will go crazy. Yeah.
And he also gave that vibe of like your uncle that you would go to for advice on girls and everything. And kind of like an Uncle Jesse type.
And then they replaced him with your second favorite host.
Another asshole with pick-me energy who abuses his staff. Gee, there's a pattern.
And abuses restaurant staff,
yes,
too.
James Corden. That was like the biggest fucking downgrade. Yeah. But going back to Fallon real quick and everything. So I find this whole thing ironic.
So he's got like the whole Ellen accusations against him.
Another pick-me. Gee, okay, people, here's a word of advice. Be careful of the people with the pick-me energy. They're the snakes in the grass.
Johnny Carson didn't have pick-me energy, but he was boss.
Yeah.
Like his way or no way.
Yeah. But the thing about Fallon that's ironic actually. So years ago, when IMDb had their forums, right? I remember getting into like this argument with this one dude. And it was on the...
so you're probably one of the reasons they stopped doing those, is what you're saying?
Kind of. Honestly, let's face it. I was like tame compared... Like I wasn't like on there trolling. I would have conversations on there. If they turned the arguments, it was out of my... I did not cause the argument.
It's just trolling.
People that it just happens.
Yeah.
So there was this one guy. I think his name was like... His handle was called like Phil's Fan or something.
Oh, Lord.
He was obsessed with Fallon. Like, if you look at either the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon board or the Jimmy Fallon board, whenever somebody would do like some criticism, and it wasn't just like straight up flaming Fallon, it was just like honest, like, criticism about like constructive criticism about his show and everything. This dude would be on them like stink on rice. He'd be like, "You have a terrible sense of humor. Jimmy Fallon's the best. You just don't know what funny is, blah, 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 and everything."
Well, maybe it was Jimmy Fallon.
Right. Oh, probably was. I wouldn't be shocked. But this guy, every time he would criticize Fallon, he'd be there trying to talk shit. So him and I went on this back and forth. And I criticized Fallon for saying, like, he's too much of a brown noser during interviews. He needs to reel it back. And he keeps interrupting people. He comes off as kind of fake. And this guy would say, like, "Oh, you don't know what funny is." And we would just do it back and forth. I'm like, dude, what is your problem? Like, people don't like Fallon. Let it go.
Bro, you were arguing with Jimmy Fallon.
I swear to God, I think I am. I swear to God. But it's like, it's a whole like, some people like Fallon. Okay. Some people don't. That's also okay. That's how it rolls and everything. So you coming on here and just like starting fights with everybody. It just seems so fucking bizarre. And honestly, it comes off as very Mark David Chapman. I would not be surprised if this dude actually would shoot Fallon and everything, because he came off as like an obsessed fan. And there were also that people that called him out on it.
Right.
And so one of his things was like, Jimmy Fallon is the most respected person in Hollywood. He's one of the nicest guys ever. So this story comes out about him being abusive, being a backstage bully. So I'm wondering if this guy, Phil's fan, if his whole life just crumbled down and everything.
Yeah, I mean, he must have been like, no, Jimmy, say it isn't so. It isn't so.
I'm saying, he kind of reminded me of De Niro on King of Comedy. Mom!
He was like, or more like De Niro in The Fan.
Oh, dude, that's
Jimmy,
a deep cut.
Way to go, Jimmy!
Calls in that radio station every day to talk about Fallon.
Yeah.
They don't understand you, Jimmy, like I do. And then he kills Benicio del Toro in the spa.
And cuts off his tattoo.
Right.
Well, actually, it was a brand, but anyway.
Yeah.
So in other words, long story short, Fallon, piece of shit.
Yes.
Got it. All right. Let's go ahead and take a quick break and we'll be right back. And we're back. Thank you guys for continuing to hang out with us. This is the Minority Report Halloween edition. You're listening to the Minority Report. I want to be like the Crypt Keeper. That was my Crypt Keeper laugh. It's pretty good.
Not bad. Not bad.
So anyway, I wanted to first talk about childhood memories when it comes to Halloween. The first thing I wanted to talk about was Halloween costumes, hits and misses.
Honestly, yeah, that's like when you think Halloween, you think costumes. So I feel like that's fitting that we start out our Halloween month with about costumes.
So, okay, even though we know people that costume probably all year long, but still, the first costume was a total miss for me. I don't know why this was a thing back in the 80s. I sent a picture of it to you so you could take a look at it. It was something called Kooky Spooks. I don't know if people remember what these things look like.
Oh, it looks like blackface, bro. What the fuck?
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. So this was deemed okay
As seen on TV.
by the general public. So when I was a kid, I watched a lot of TV, and I so wanted a Kooky Spook. I wanted one so fucking bad. So my mother got me one. And I'm Puerto Rican. I grew up in the hood. We really didn't know what blackface was. And my mother bought me this costume. So if you're looking at the picture, it's this giant plastic, like almost poncho you're wearing with a cape. You paint your face black, and then on top of your head, it's a blow up giant like balloon thing you tie to the top of your head. And it's a cross-eyed bat for some reason, if you see it. And it's called a Kooky Spooks. And it's a giant blow up costume kit. Now, at the time when you're an innocent kid, you don't think anything of it. But now that you're pointing out that also the one thing is the blackface, but it also has the word spook in it.
That just makes it worse, man.
So looking back, that's what I'm talking about, hit and misses. You look back on it, you go, what the fuck? What was I thinking? And dude, I had for years, I kept trying to think and remember the name of this thing, and I couldn't. And then I finally found it, and I said, "Oh yeah, it was called Kooky Spooks." Oh fuck!
Yeah, as soon as you said that, I was like, "Oh."
I'm like, "Oh my god, bro!" And this was deemed okay. And if you notice in all the advertisements, it's only white kids wearing it.
I noticed that.
So it's kind of fucked up on two levels.
He fucking looked like Ted Danson at the Whoopi Goldberg roast. Google that if you dare.
Fucking looking like C. Thomas Howell, right? Soul Man.
Get down.
Anyway, in other words, it was really highly inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nowadays, you would not be able to get away with that.
No,
I don't know why you were able to get away with it then. So imagine a kid. I was a very fair-skinned child.
Right.
Living in a majority black neighborhood in Brooklyn. Well, Puerto Rican and black. And going to school dressed like that.
I'm surprised you're still living.
I got some looks.
Yeah.
I didn't know why, because I was only like in elementary school, so I didn't know why I was getting looks, but I thought I was cool in my Kooky Spook.
You thought you were cool. Take a moment to just reflect on what you just said right there. I thought it was cool, my cookie spook. As you do the keep on trucking strut.
Keep trucking. So that was my big miss. What about yours?
So my first costume that I can remember.
No, I'm talking about the big miss. That was my miss. That was
I wanted to talk about like my first costume, but I'll talk about my big miss in a bit. Actually, you know what? It's actually my first costume and big miss. I'm going to tell you why. So it was a Legend of Zelda Link costume. And so, however, this was the 80s. So a lot of those costumes were basically just like a poncho with like the picture of the character. And then you have a mask.
Yeah, the plastic mask with the fucking rubber band that didn't last the whole night.
Exactly, yeah. So this costume, it was basically like a rubber jumpsuit. And it has an image of Link fighting Ganon. And that was the costume. Like, it wasn't like a tunic with boots and everything. It was that. Oh, and the hat. And I didn't come with the sword or shield or anything.
Right.
So, but yeah, but at the time, I thought it was awesome. Like, I'm Link and everything. This is dope. But yeah, it was a bust. It was basically like, a lot of people love to like reminisce about like how awesome the 80s and 70s were, but let me tell you something. The Hollywood costume game was the absolute drizzling shits.
I mean, cookie spooks.
Right. So what I'm wearing is I look back and I look like Missy Elliott in one of her videos where she's wearing that inflatable suit and everything. If you work it, let me work it.
So you talk about like one of those Ben Cooper style. They call them Ben Cooper because I think that was the company that used to make them. Kind of that style costume where it looked like you know it was vinyl and you kind of slipped it on your legs and arms. And it tied in the back like a bib.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then you had the plastic mask.
That's what totally was. Yeah.
I had one similar to it. And see, now that was my hit costume when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I had a Darth Vader one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had the back in the late 70s, early 80s. We were relatively not so well to do as a kid growing up. We was broke. We was poor as fuck.
Yeah.
So we used to have to like kind of become innovative with our Halloween costumes. But one of the ones that I got to get splurged on or I got spoiled on was the Darth Vader Halloween costume.
Yeah.
And what's fucked up, like you said, those costumes were just a picture of the character and then a mask. The fucked up part was on that one that I went to school with it because, you know, you had the little Halloween thing and it fucking ripped in the crotch. They always ripped in the crotch for some reason.
So your crotch is exposed.
Yeah. And so like I was all upset. But then that whole night I had and kept tearing more. So it finally it took it off. But that was my coolest one when I was a kid growing up. We didn't do like homemade costumes or anything like that. I mean, you would get a mask and maybe go trick-or-treating that way.
Yeah.
I lived in the hood. So really, if you wanted to go trick-or-treating, you had to go like apartment buildings, which was not as fun.
Right. Yeah. Let's see, like majority of my costumes when I was a kid was a ninja. Like it was like that generic, like ninja.
Oh, okay.
Not nigga, ninja. Boy, I wasn't. Anyway, but no, like it would be like, you know, the ninja mask, the jumpsuit, and then like you have like the little like, you know, plastic katana or like sai or whatever. So
you were sad. You would sigh.
Jesus Christ, you and your grandpa jokes.
Sigh. Hey, shut up.
What?
So anyway, so you were always a ninja?
Well, only for like, I would say, because I actually, with the power of my memory, actually like listed, like I wrote down like what costumes I had each year. So it was like 90, 91, 92, and 95, I was a ninja. However, I broke the ninja streak by going as another ninja, actually.
How is that breaking the ninja streak?
Because it was because I wasn't a generic ninja this time.
Oh, my bad.
I was a Ninja Turtle.
Oh, well, go fuck me. Then.
Well, you should. How dare you, sir? But no. Well, here's the thing. It was those Ninja Turtle pajamas. So it was like, you know, the long sleeve shirt that had like the ninja shell on it with like the belt and everything, and then like the pants that had like the knee pads and everything.
I bet you need a new pad.
That is gross, man. I was a kid. What the?
Did you save them? You saved them. The knee pads? You saved them.
No. It was drawn on.
Oh, okay.
You sick fuck. You saved them as a third grader, huh?
Anyway,
calm down, Duggar family.
Ninja Turtles was that your big shit costume? Like
No, it wasn't that one. Okay, at first it was.
Yeah.
Because I loved like Ninja Turtles. And Raphael was my guy and
Right.
everything. But the next year, '94, that was my next big shit costume. I was the Red Ranger.
Oh,
from
shit.
Power Rangers.
Go ahead.
Yep. And I was in the last year I could fit into that costume.
Oh, because they sold it per size and it was the only yeah.
So it
Was
had
a
like
little snug. Was a little snug.
no, it actually was pretty fine.
Yeah.
But like I went to wear it again for next year. However, when I put it on as a 5th grader, I was like, oh, never mind.
You couldn't do any hi-ya kicks in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I had the what do you call it? The
plastic
mask,
face
the plastic
mask,
mask and everything. But yeah, it was dope. But you know what's funny about that costume is that so in middle school,
Right.
there was this one kid that I did not get along with. You know how like kids that antagonize you usually are like bigger kids and everything and whatnot.
Right.
This kid was like not a big kid. He was just like a little wiener kid. He was like a little Millhouse type of kid.
Okay.
But for some reason, he did not like me. And so he tried to give me shit for, he would try to tell people like, he was the Red Ranger for Halloween. I was like, yeah, in 4th grade. And it just went out like a fart in church.
Okay. That don't make any sense.
Oh, he was a dumb kid. He was, okay, so basically he was a hater.
He wore diapers when he was 6 months old.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah. But you know what's funny? But no, like he was a hater.
Yeah.
Like it's just straight up that.
It's like it's like one of those kids in the hood that'd be like, "Oh, look at this kid. His parents are married.
Mm-hmm.
He was born after his parents were married. What a loser." Oh yeah, whoa,
right,
sick burn, yo.
Right, but the next couple Halloweens, like mostly in like junior high, my mom would make my costumes, and they're mostly like out of the box, you know. So and when I was in 6th grade, I was Richter from Castlevania because Dracula X came out.
You already a nerd.
And wow, newsflash, I'm a nerd.
Sick burn, yo.
Now you're just like that kid and everything. You're a nerd. Yeah.
So what's your point?
Right. Now, honestly, it just reminded me of like what Adam Sandler said in Grown Ups when what's his face, Colin Quinn tried to rag on him. Yeah. He's like, "You don't know how to come at me, do you?"
Yeah. That's why you're successful and have a hot wife. Yeah.
Yeah. And your kid drinks Voss water.
Oh no!
But so I went as a Richter from Dracula X, Castlevania Dracula X.
Okay,
because like that was the recent.
So you're the kid that when people knocked on the door, they went, "Oh, what are you?"
They sometimes say, "Are you Sub-Zero?" and everything.
And you go, "Sure, let's go with that."
Yeah,
give me the fucking candy.
Yeah, but now I would ask my mom to like make my costumes, and she was awesome at it.
Yeah.
Like she would make great costumes. I went as a Chrono from Chrono Trigger when I was in 7th grade.
Oh, okay.
And then here's my next big shit costume.
Yeah.
8th grade, I was Goku.
Oh.
Yeah, my mom made the whole thing.
No
She
shit.
made the pants,
Really?
the gi,
Oh, wow.
the sash and everything.
Shit, so your mom is a seamstress.
Dude, let me tell you, she is. Like, yeah, she's been sewing since she was young. Well, I mean, like, you know, Latin families and everything. Yeah.
Yep.
If you're a woman in a Latino family,
Oh,
you have to learn to sew or cook.
We had an old mom. My mom did it all.
Yeah.
My mom had this old ass sewing machine. She was a fucking genius.
Was
with
it the Brothers sewing machine?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my mom has.
Oh no! This was before Brothers. It was a singer that came up out of a table.
Right.
Yeah, and you could hear it. It sounded like a machine gun.
Yeah.
When she was sewing, I was like, God damn, man.
But no, my mom, like, she would make some baller ass costumes.
That's cool.
You know, so yeah, like But yeah, so
now with me it was like, you ever did one of those stereotypical costumes like a hobo or a
whatever's easy to like, whatever you can get out of the closet.
Yeah. Like a hobo or a fucking clown or some shit. I never did any of those, but those were my hit and miss costumes. Yeah, Cookie Spooks was probably a big miss.
Yeah,
huge.
The Legend of Zelda Missy Elliott costume was a miss for me. And everything.
See, for me, Missy Elliott. You should have just leaned into it.
Right.
Yeah, sure. I'll see how No, but it was different when I was a kid. Because a lot of it was because you grew up in the hood. You just bought whatever was available, like I said, like the Ben Cooper or a costume, and you go, "Oh, I'm a witch." You're just wearing a hat, bro. It's fine.
There is like a certain charm to them. Not to that Kooky Spooks would, but there is a charm to those vintage costumes.
Well, they sell them now for like top dollar.
I was about to say,
and they came back out with them too, like newer versions of them.
I was about to say because, like, you know, we go to cons and everything, and there'll be like some vendors there.
Yeah.
They'll have like the old school packaging.
Well, they have the
unopened.
vintage ones,
Yeah.
which are the old ones,
Yeah.
and then they have the retro ones, with their new ones. See, I learned that. It took me until being a grandfather. No, I learned it recently though, where vintage means that it's actually the old one.
Yeah.
That was original. Retro means it's the new made one, but it's made to look like it's old.
Right.
So I was like, and I know people know that out there. I'm just making an observation.
Right.
So yeah, no, and a lot of people, like, there's a store someone we know owns called Terror Trader, and they trade on they sell a lot of stuff horror themed, and they have both vintage and retro. And I was excited to see that. I was like, wow, dude, it brought back so many memories. I remember, wanting the Frankenstein one or the Dracula one.
Right.
But anyway, the costumes were cool. I mean, now, as an adult, cosplay aside, not counting cosplay, what's kind of like the costume that you remember the most?
Let's see.
Because I know mine, but I'll let you go.
Well, as far as an adult, that's when I started to become a lot more creative,
Right.
and everything. And so, what's the funny thing is that now you mentioned cosplayer, is that just to tap in real quick, they always say that cosplayers go all out for Halloween.
No, they don't.
We don't. We
Sometimes
actually
they
keep
don't-
it simple.
And sometimes they don't even costume at all.
Right. Like, for example, an ex-girlfriend of mine who's like, an incredible seamstress,
Right.
like makes so many complex costumes.
Right.
For Halloween, she wore like a goldfish costume. Because the thing is like, as you know, like
Yeah.
you and I, we work on costumes like
All year long.
24/7.
Yeah.
So we would like to do something that's just like a lot more low key, a lot more like, less strenuous.
Well, I worked at a company for 8 years, and every year was the same thing. Because when I started costuming, because I haven't done it as long as you have, but I worked, and every year people are like, "Oh, what are you gonna wear? What are you gonna wear?" I'm like, "I'm not wearing anything."
Yeah.
I would rarely even go to work on Halloween and Halloween costume, and they'd be like all disappointed. I'm like, dude,
Yeah.
I do it like 30 weekends a year.
Yeah.
I don't really care if you don't see me in a while.
Right,
It's
right.
and besides that, I used to tell them because, honestly, an average costume of mine for cosplay costs an average of about $300 to $500. I'm not wearing that to work.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
And some of them, you see some of my shit, they're uncomfortable and hard to get in.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking sit there at my desk all day with that.
But
on.
also you don't want to risk ruining them.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely.
Yeah, when you're investing that much money and you don't
Totally.
wanna, like, but-
So as far as like a memorable, they've all been pretty memorable in their own ways and everything.
right. But what is one that you've done for Halloween that you didn't do any other time of year?
Any other
That's
time of
what I
year?
mean, yeah, something like that.
There were, I would have to say Michonne from Walking Dead.
I remember when you did that.
Yeah, and it got a lot of like
Yeah.
a lot of top marks and everything.
That was the same year I was
Harley.
Harold Quinn.
Harold Quinn. I thought you were Harry Quinn.
Harry Quinn.
Harry Quinn, yeah. But no, because not a fan of The Walking Dead, but I do love
Right.
the character of Michonne.
Yeah.
I love like her backstory and everything.
You like that she uses a katana, don't lie.
Well, yeah, that was the backstory. But
the whole backstory.
yeah, but like with her like teaching herself to use the katana
Yeah.
and having like the two like zombie pets and everything.
Those are her brothers.
Yeah,
That's so fucked up.
it is. Yeah. So I'm pretty much like all I need is a dreadlock wig, just like find like the tight pants, like
You had
the
the
vest and
dreadlock
everything.
wig.
Yeah.
You're what was it
the
from
Rick James
My Hero
wig.
Academia? Not My Hero Academia. Big Hero 6.
Yeah. So that pretty much it just like came so well together,
I remember we did that for a house party.
Yep, we did,
I
yeah.
fucking sat there and painted by hand the fucking pants.
Yeah. But it went really well,
Yeah.
and I actually used a one of my replica katanas is a Hanzo sword,
Right.
A Hattori Hanzo sword.
Yeah.
I
I actually had the Michonne sword.
but you didn't have it at the time.
No, not at that time. No.
So I just like took that sword and just like wraps like some what do you call it? Some white
Right.
duct tape around it.
See, my standout as an adult, I think, had to be one year. It was back when I lived in New York. I probably was in my early 20s. My friend at the time that I lived with, who were roommates with, my high school friend, I knew him since back in junior high. He wanted to go out to this club, and I wasn't feeling it. He liked going to clubs because he was a cop, and at the time, and he was always on the prowl for badge bunnies. You know what
yeah.
a badge
Oh,
bunny
yeah,
is, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Badge bunny is, for those who don't know, is a women who only date cops.
You know how I learned about that term?
What's that?
Car 54, Where Are You?
Oh yeah.
The movie adaptation that had Buster
Yeah.
Poindexter and John C. McGinley.
Yeah.
Fran Drescher was supposed to be John C. McGinley's love interest.
Yeah.
And she was a
She was
badge bunny. Yeah.
So, well, anyway, so he would want me to go to he dragged me to these clubs with him. So it was Halloween, and he went and rented this super expensive, high end. At the time, Mars Attacks was out. So he, the Mars Emperor.
Oh yeah,
With the big dome on his head.
And he had the cape.
Yeah, so he went and rented this costume. Cost him like, I don't know, $100 or something to rent. And so he wanted to go. Oh, they're gonna have a Halloween contest. You should come with me. I'm like, dude, I don't have a costume. I'm not gonna. Fucking. So his cousin, who also lived with us, rented a pinhead costume, high end again, pinhead costume, and it was full length body, leather, pleather, vinyl suit. If if you're familiar with what pinhead looks like.
Yeah.
And then it had this big latex mask with all the pins on it, and we had to glue in all the pins one by one into the mask. So he's like, "Oh, let's go. You should go. You can wear David's costume, and we can go." I'm like, "Fuck." So David said, "Yeah, you can wear it. It's fine." And at the time, I was a much slimmer dude, so I was like, oh, "Okay." I said, "Fuck it, I'll go."
Yeah.
I said, "Bro," I put on the mask. I was like, "I give you 2 hours. I'm done.
Yeah.
I can't no more."
Yeah.
Because even though it's October in New York and it's cold, inside the club you got all those bodies in there.
And then
It's
you
hot
have
as
your own
balls.
And then you have your own body heat.
Yeah. And then he's like, "Oh, don't try not to take off the mask." I'm like, I'm in a full, it was like I was in a Ziploc fucking bag.
Yeah.
I'm in a plastic suit head to toe. And then I got on a fucking latex mask that covers my whole face, and my mouth doesn't even have an opening.
Jesus
So
Christ.
all my hot ass breath is just staying in there.
So
with
you
me.
pretty much almost like asphyxiated yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were like half hour in. I'm like, "Oh, I'm done. Nah, man.
Yeah.
I'm taking off this mask. I don't give a fuck."
And on top of all that, you're in a dimly lit room
club
with lights
with
and
small
noise.
ass eye holes. Yeah.
Dude, that sounds so
like
fucking
torture.
claustrophobic.
Yeah.
You know?
The costume was badass. I loved it. I wish I had pictures of it. It was fucking cool.
Yeah.
But it was a miserable experience. But that's probably the costume that stands out to me in my adulthood.
Yeah.
Until I started, cosplaying, I really didn't do anything like that.
Yeah.
One of the ones that you probably remember that I threw together that I had a lot of fun with was the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
My wife at the time bought one of those thought Alice in Wonderland costumes.
Yeah.
And so I put together a Mad Hatter costume that
Yeah.
I did. And it was fun. It was a lot of fun to do, but I don't know. It's just, as like you said, as the years have gone by and we've done more shit like that.
Yeah.
It kind of is like anticlimactic to do like Halloween stuff, you know?
It is, but at the same time, you use that same ingenuity you have for cosplay
Sure.
to seek out, not to build a costume, but actually seek out parts of it.
Yep.
Because after Michonne, it was really fun to look for pieces at like thrift stores and all that. So then my next costumes were all I'll just get pieces that I either own or just
well, that
fix
was
up.
like one of the ones that stands out to me that I did do for work, but because the person I was seeing at the time wanted to do a couple's costume for work. So I convinced her to do Gomez and Morticia, because I've always been a huge mark for Gomez Adams, even back to the John Aston days. However, Raul Julia was the man. And so I always like creeping people out with the mustache, the John Waters type mustache, just because it's fun.
Right.
So, and I killed it. Cause I mean, not just my opinion. The people were like, "Oh, you killed it. Just fucking, nailed it." And I did it for work. I didn't do it outside of work. I mean, I did it one time at an event. And you saw. Gomez Adams is a closet, like they call a closet costume.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out and buy it. You probably own a suit that you could use for it.
And it's an iconic character.
Yeah,
So
and who's not going to recognize Gomez and Morticia?
Right.
Another one that I did for work that I liked, because I kind of, like you said, just put stuff together that you found. And I did it also because everybody and their mother says I resemble him. I don't know how, but Negan from The Walking Dead.
Yeah. See, okay, that's funny that you don't really see it because, come on, you have a
Everybody
mirror.
else does.
You have
I
a
know.
mirror, bro.
Yeah, but I was like, hey, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I'll take it.
Honestly, I think you're doing that whole like meta.
No,
wink,
I honestly
wink.
don't see it. I don't. But
No,
anyway.
it reminds me of like that whole like meta wink wink thing.
Yeah.
Like when you see in movies where a character and the actor that
Yeah.
plays them meet, like Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
They say we look alike. I don't see it.
I don't
though.
see it.
Yeah.
No, but the one thing I did like with that Negan, the scene that they did, that's what kind of I was like, all right, I'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he has the whole scene, he goes, look at that. I just bashed you in your head.
Take it like a champ.
And your eye just popped out of here. I was like, okay, I could do that.
See, that's why I thought it was funny that Negan was in Tekken because that's his worst nightmare, surrounded by a bunch of Asians that know martial arts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about redemption.
Right?
Oh, speaking of Asians and martial arts, did you see in the Mortal Kombat sequel who's playing Johnny Cage?
Yeah, Carl Urban.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I think he can pull it off.
Yeah.
But now that you mention Asians, actually.
Wow.
No, this segues because like I'm glad you brought up work because like doing Halloween for work, it's honestly it's really fun.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of
It's
like
hit or miss for me.
I find it fun because it does remind me of when we used to dress up at school and everything.
Yeah.
But this time we're all grown ups, so we're getting paid for it.
You're a grown up.
Thank you. You don't know how to come out of me, do you?
No, I don't.
But no, so the first time I did a work costume, it was when I was, it was one of my contract assignments. And I went as Leroy Green, a.k.a. Bruce Leroy. He catches bullets with his teeth. And so I had...
The Wasa of Harlem.
Yeah. And so I already had like the gear pretty much and everything.
Right.
And so it was Leroy when his like basically his like out in the town rare, like the kung fu jacket with like the pants and the slippers and the straw hat.
Yep.
And so, but here's a funny part. So
I gave you a jacket like that, didn't I?
well, you did, but not that color.
No,
it was
yeah,
black.
yeah.
This one I had, it was blue. It was actually from coincidentally another cosplay I used to do. It was John Talbane, the werewolf from Darkstalkers, his human form.
Okay. So you went to work dressed like Bruce Leroy.
Yeah. But here's the funny part. So right when I got into the car, I turned on the radio to Mega 104.3. So shout out to them. And they do like, old school hits and everything. Right. And they played DeBarge, Rhythm of the Night. As you folks know, DeBarge, they debuted that
they did
music
the whole
video.
Soundtrack.
Yeah. In Last Dragon.
Yeah.
So it was a sign. And so we did like a work Halloween contest.
Right.
And so they asked me, oh, so what's your character? I'm like, I'm Leroy from Last Dragon, Bruce Leroy. Bruce Lee? Okay, cool. I'm like,
no,
you're not that
Bruce Lee, bro.
Bro, Bruce Leroy, but fuck it, whatever, you casuals.
Because there's people who are pop culture illiterate.
Oh yeah.
Not that it's a bad thing. That's on them, but
Yeah, but I did like dressing up for work and everything. So the next contract assignment I had, the next year,
right.
It was when COVID first started, when the quarantine first happened. So we're all doing it, working by Zoom. So we did a Zoom costume contest.
Okay.
So, but basically what it is that you would take photos of yourself in your costume.
Right.
And then you would email it to the HR folks and everything. And they would do like a tournament.
Presentation,
A tournament. And so I was Bruce Lee in his iconic Game of Death black and yellow jumpsuit. Yep, yeah. And so since we're all doing this by photos,
right.
I knew I had to do some like cool shit to like help stand out and everything. So I did photos of me doing like Bruce's iconic flying jumping sidekick. And it went well. Like, I actually got second place. And a lot of folks loved the photos. They loved me flying in the air. And my what was it called? It was down to myself and a female pinhead. And she won. And rightfully so, because
shocker.
Well, her costume was fucking bomb, man. And it wasn't like that whole like ready-made.
It wasn't a thought with the boobs hanging out?
No.
Oh, okay.
Because she's a horror movie fan.
A what?
Horror movie fan.
Oh, horror.
Yeah.
Sorry.
But
So what kind of movies you watching?
right. But no, like she had the makeup, she had like the spikes and everything. Was it wait, actually, you should know more than I do. Isn't there like it's not like a female Pinhead, but there is like a female counterpart?
There's a female Cenobite, yeah.
So yeah, so I guess she was the female Cenobite.
Well, in the new reboot of Hellraiser, Pinhead is a woman. Also,
Okay.
is a female.
Yeah. So she was that.
Which is funny because not funny, but which is interesting because it's actually played by a transgender female actress.
Oh yeah.
So it is a female Cenobite played by a transgender female. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah.
The whole backstory to it.
Interesting, right on. But but she won first place. I won second. And it almost sounds like a fanfic that Bruce Lee fought Hellraiser.
Yeah, Bruce Leroy fought Pinhead.
Yeah. But,
Anyway, but let's go ahead and take a quick break. I want to talk about some other stuff too before we go. Sorry, Gibbo. Okay, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, this is Cletus J. Cousinfucker, coming to you from the Minority Report Studio. I don't know what the hell they talking about minorities. There's a lot of people in here. They ain't no minority. Anyway, so listen up. Check it out. Listen to these leftist, socialist, fascist, communists. I can't remember any more is. But yeah, FJB.
And we're back. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. So we're talking all things Halloween. Was it that Halloween song gets stuck in my head every time? This is Halloween.
This is
well, that
Halloween.
one and dun, 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 dun. This is Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. You remember that?
I remember that. Yeah.
Halloween 3, Season of the Witch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a horrible movie. But anyway, we're gonna do an episode. We're gonna follow up this Halloween episode with a horror movie episode because this one's running long and I don't want to keep everybody on. We're gonna talk about we're talking about memories. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about as far as memory goes, and we'll wrap up with that, is our favorite trick or treat stories and candy. I remember trick or treating, and in the hood, I don't know if this was a thing where you grew up, but in my hood, you had to watch out for bag snatchers.
I didn't have to worry about that, honestly.
Bag
'cause-
snatchers were like teenagers.
Yeah.
They would run around and they would see little kids with, they would literally stealing candies from babies.
That's
Like,
fucked up.
They would see a little kid walking with their friends and they see them like lackadaisically holding their bag and they'd snatch it and just keep running. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some fucked up shit.
It really does, man.
Now, as far as teenagers trick or treating, I saw somebody put up a meme and I kind of agree with. He goes, "Oh, for those people who are against like teenagers trick or treating, or talk shit about teenagers coming up to the door trick or treating," I was like, "There's other things they could have the option of doing."
Yeah.
Which unfortunately I was one of those teenagers, but I'll get into that after the trick or treats. I remember when I was a kid growing up, we go trick or treating, and it was hard because this is my trick or treat story, and I'll let you go into yours. We used to sometimes do like 3 or 4 rounds. What I mean is that it's cold in New York, so you have to wear a coat sometimes. So you would have your costume on, but you'd have a coat on over it. So we would go around one time with our coat on and trick or treat, and then take our coat off and go back around again. And then sometimes even change mask, swap with each other, and go back around again to the same places. But it was difficult because, like I said, it was mostly apartment buildings around where I lived at, and we would go to the bodegas and some of the businesses and shit like that, and we would get candy. Yeah, some of the apartments would give out also, but the difficult one was that not the difficult, but the ones I remember and the people I remember the most are the motherfuckers that gave you pennies. Because they wouldn't have candy, so they'd give you pennies. Like, people would save up their pennies and give you pennies.
Yeah.
However, in their defense, back in my day, you can go to the corner store, the bodega, and get penny cookies or penny candies. Like, they had they'd have a jar up by the front counter. They would have penny candy in it, or they'd have a box with cookies in it, and they would have penny cookies in there, so you could actually get something for a penny. Nowadays, why do we even use pennies?
Right.
I mean, honestly.
Right.
Yeah.
With my trick or treating stories, most of my the best trick or treating I've seen was first in Murphy Canyon. My family and I, because my dad was in the Navy at the time, we lived in naval housing, which was Murphy Canyon, and it was a huge neighborhood.
Right.
And obviously there's like a lot of families, so it was a lot of like, you know, dope trick-or-treating. Like it was a huge ground for trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
So we walk out and there'll be like so many kids and their families walking around and everything, and we covered like, there's like a lot of like space to cover.
Yeah.
But we mostly covered just like closer blocks to our house and everything. The whole neighborhood, like the whole like naval housing neighborhood was just so immense.
Yeah.
Like you can spend like a couple, if they did
mean,
trick-or-treating a couple days.
You think about it, a base has a couple of thousand or a couple of hundred, a couple of thousand people there. And if their families live there, it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of people.
Let me tell you, you could do a WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom 2-night event with trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
In fact, that would be great because that would actually help you cover the entire area and everything.
There was one thing that I noticed when I moved to the suburbs with my kids that wasn't in when I was growing up, Halloween decorations.
Yeah.
Like, there's some people that fucking go all out. Like in the hood, people just put up little bullshit decorations and that was it. But nowadays, like sometimes I like going around just looking and watching videos online of people who they come up with some sick ass crazy shit. And I love seeing it.
Yeah.
There's one couple last year when Stranger Things, when Max was a big thing, the redhead, they did one where Max is floating in the air above their house, and they dared people to figure out how they did it.
Right.
Because you can't. You're like, it's almost impossible to see how they did it.
And they were playing like the Kate Bush song.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah.
Running up the hill. Those are the actual words.
Those are the actual words. Yeah. But yeah, you know, and yeah, like in Murphy Canyon, like, yeah, people went all out with the Halloween decorations, and some of that shit was fucking scary.
Bro, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
I when my kids were little, there was one house around the block from us when I lived in another town, and they people went all out. And I went up towards the house, right, to take a picture of it, and it had one of those things that jump out of a grave at you if you're near it, and it did, and it scared the shit out of me. Like, what the fuck? Because when I lived in Florida and I lived in Orlando, there was a place there called Terror on Church Street, probably the fucking scariest haunted house I ever been to, because it was all year round. It wasn't just like for the Halloween; it was all year round, and it was a 25-minute walk through a warehouse that had different rooms with themes, so you had to walk through. So like you go through one and it's an abandoned hospital, and one's an insane asylum, and one's a graveyard, and you got to walk through this whole thing.
Yeah.
Talk about fucking scary. That was the first time I've been into a haunted house with live actors.
And we're gonna have another episode just for haunted houses.
Oh yeah. Haunted houses and horror movies.
Yeah. But
that was the one that scared the shit out of me. But go ahead.
But no, I was gonna say it was like there was this. I remember this one time. It was again Murphy Canyon,
right?
And there was this one house I walked up to, and like it had like the knives with the decorations and everything,
right?
And there was the husband and the wife, and the husband was wearing like this like skeleton face paint, this glow in the dark face paint. Like remember the what do you call it? The Henchman in Batman Forever, the one that Chris O'Donnell fights and everything.
Yeah.
He looked like that, and he had the glow in the dark like knives and everything,
right?
And so I wanted to get candy, and my dad was taking me trick-or-treating.
Right.
And I wanted to get candy, and she's like, oh, you can come get candy. But he's right there, and he's doing like the whole like, what do you call it? Like sharpening the knives with each other and everything. And I'm hiding behind my dad. And he's like, no, go, you can get some candy. He ain't gonna hurt you. And I'm fucking scared. Like I'm trying to hide behind my dad. And I wish, as you know how like in movies, like kids can like talk like adults or something like that and everything. Their inner monologue, like let's. I wish I could have just said, "Motherfucker, let's go." This motherfucker's terrifying me. I don't want to get candy, nigga. Goddamn.
See, my more Halloween stories are when I used to take my kids out, and there was one house where the dude did something like that, but it was like a dark. They left the candy outside, and then like the door was open, and he'd jump out every time a kid would come up. I almost knocked the motherfucker out. It scared my kid. I was the opposite. I was like, motherfucker, I will knock you the fuck out. Don't scare my kid like that.
Well, say, and honestly, there's an art when it comes to like being scary and everything. Like you want to scare to entertain, not to traumatize.
Well, you got to be a G-rated scary for kids. Yeah, you could be scarier for adults, but like, so. One of my things before we go into my teenage years when I was a ne'er-do-well, a roustabout, as you would say, favorite Halloween candy growing up. I have to say that it was hit or miss sometimes in our neighborhood. Sometimes you would get just a bubble gum. It was this thing called Big Blows.
I know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
They're hard ass candy
Yeah.
on the outside and then like a gum on the inside.
Yeah.
But the gum lasted the flavor like 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
You would always get those. Or you would get those little, my favorites to get were the little strawberries. You
Yeah.
know the ones I'm talking about?
Yeah.
They have the strawberry wrapper on it.
Yeah,
And they got, like the fruit.
hard candy. Yeah.
Those were my favorites to get. Those and Mary Jane's.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with a Mary Jane?
Yeah.
Like the peanut butter candy. Those were the best. And I think they still have them. They're called Chico sticks.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of them?
Never heard of those. Yeah.
Chico sticks are like a peanut buttery wafer. It kind of tastes like the inside of a Butterfinger, but they're like sticks.
Yeah.
They have no chocolate on them though. Those were my 3 favorites growing up.
Mine were like the what do you call it? Like the high brand name candies, like the mini versions. Like so, it's like the Hershey.
You bougie motherfucker.
You're damn right. I'm gonna tell you why I'm bougie. I'm gonna tell you why. So after we moved away from Murphy Canyon, we moved to Rancho Bernardo, and Rancho Bernardo is like a very like upper middle class type of area.
Sounds like it.
Yeah, and so
It has the word rancho in it.
oh yeah, if it's Rancho, then it's high class.
Rancho Cucamonga.
Exactly, from Friday, or the Young Bucks.
The Young Bucks.
Yeah. So so we lived in Deerwood Apartments,
Right.
and Deerwood Apartments was a high-end apartment, and it was very family-friendly. They used to have haunted houses, which we'll talk about in another episode. But the trick-or-treating was strong too there, just as it was in Murphy Canyon. And you got a lot of this, like, high-end candy. So you got, like, the Hershey Minis, the Mr. Good Bar, Crunch, 100 grand, all that and everything. So it was some very high-end candy. But it would spoil us, though, because if we got something like, what do you call it, like the candy that looks like peanuts.
Like what?
Like peanuts.
Oh, peanuts.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You heard what you wanted to hear.
Oh, you mean the circus peanuts?
Yeah.
That for some reason they're circus peanuts. They're orange, but they're supposed to be banana flavor.
Yeah. That shit was trash.
So why do you call it circus peanuts if it's banana flavored?
See, there's no logic to it. That's why it's a terrible candy. Other than the fact that it tastes horrible. I also hated the candy corn as well. I think candy corn.
How dare you?
Yes, candy corn is at the bottom. Is at the bottom of the.
Oh, I'll
totem
fight you
pole.
over that one.
You know what?
Candy corn? That's the shit, man.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You low expectation heavy motherfucker.
But I'm also a fan of Australian black licorice too. So
See, what is wrong with you?
nothing wrong with me.
Yeah.
You ever had a Vietnamese pate and
Why does that sound like something sexual? Yo, you ever had a Vietnamese pate?
no, hold on. We were talking about this the other day, my girlfriend and I was like, my favorite sandwich to get from the Vietnamese sandwich shop is pate and head cheese.
Yeah.
Do you know what head cheese is?
No.
Is they take the leftover spare pig parts and they put it with the fat to coagulate it and then make a cold cut out of it. Yeah. That's what it is. That with pate, them's good eating.
Okay, Abe Simpson. So, but yeah, I would
We
say,
wore an onion on our belt.
well, that's the style at the time. But honestly, I feel like
Don't you dare badmouth the name of candy corn again in my presence, sir.
or what? You'll send the dogs or the bees or the dogs and the bees or the mouse when they bite to shoot bees.
I will let the dogs loose. I will be that one.
What dog?
The one who let the dogs loose.
Oh, so you're gonna be an awful like song that won a Grammy.
Oof, oof. Anyway, so you were saying you're
but after
circus peanuts.
Right.
I'm getting you a bag of them.
and I'll fucking smack you with them.
Go ahead.
But what was it? So I would say like during like the high school years, that's when like, I guess we grew out of trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
But also the neighborhood that I moved into in Scottsdale, this apartment complex, there weren't any trick-or-treaters. Like there really wasn't like a good trick-or-treating scene.
Well, here's the thing. When my kids were growing up and we lived in an apartment complex, across the street we had a housing development.
Yeah.
So I took them there. I didn't go to fucking apartments.
We didn't have that because like it was like in my neighborhood, like when I lived in Morningside Apartments, it was just our apartments and then the other apartments. So there wasn't really a community to just migrate to.
We did, and we went. Shit, out here, some people drive their kids to certain neighborhoods. You know why? Because some people go to Costco and they give them the full size candy bars. So that was the first time I took them trick or treating here in, and the lady was giving out, like, people started giving out like full size candy bars. I'm like, fuck, what?
Yeah.
I was like, y'all got shit, man. Y'all got it better than I do.
I'm saying.
My kids, one of the things I appreciate that I moved here was they have that kind of suburban life.
Yeah.
Like they had cool ass Halloween costumes. Like I remember one year my daughter was Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz.
I remember that. Yeah.
They had some cool ass costumes, but I took them trick or treating. Their mother was religious, so after a while we stopped trick or treating. But I used to fucking I got to the point when we separated. I was like, I'm taking them trick or treating. Oh, I don't believe in that. I don't give a fuck what you believe in.
Okay, so when you told me your ex-wife like did not believe in trick or treating, she reminded me of Sally Field's character from King of the Hill. That religious lady that tried to like ban trick or treating and Halloween from the neighborhood.
Well, when she said that, and she was like, "Oh, that's the devil's," I was like, "Well, hell, Satan. My kids are going. My kids are going trick or treating. Fuck all that. It's not. It's not Satan. It's free candy.
Yeah, there's nothing satanic about free candy.
Yeah, nobody's going to. I'll give you candy. Now recite me the first verse of Satan. Nobody's saying that.
Right. Yeah. They just say, "Hey, happy Halloween. What's your costume? Here's some candy. Boom, done. No heathens or anything.
No heathens.
Yeah.
No. So. But yeah, now that you spoke about getting out of the trick or treating years, I was a ne'er-do-well, a roustabout, a hooligan even, when I was in my teenage years, and that's when we got up to the mischief on Halloween night.
Don't they call it like
Devil's Night?
Yeah.
Devil's Night is the night before Halloween.
Yeah.
But what we would do is on Halloween, it's usually started preparation a month before. What you do is you buy a dozen eggs. We're probably one of the reasons why they stopped selling eggs on Halloween to kids. We would buy a dozen or two of eggs like a month before Halloween, and we put them in a jar of vinegar.
Oh, Jesus.
And sometimes bury them. And if you don't know, that kind of makes it rot.
Gives it that whole stank.
That super stank. And then, but you got to be careful because when you take them out of the vinegar, the shell is soft.
Yeah, so it might crush in your hands, and you're gonna have all stank on your hands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we would either have egg fights, like with each other, or we go up to the rooftops. See, because I lived in New York, the part of New York where all the roofs are connected together. Yeah. So you could literally go almost a whole block, almost a whole city block on the rooftops.
You could daredevil yourself from like one place to the other. Yeah.
No, and it wasn't even you had to jump from one roof to the other. You'd literally walk right across all the roofs.
Oh, wow.
And so we could go one full block. So we would walk and see people gathered like in a spot and just start chucking eggs down. And they would look around. And they can't see who the fuck is throwing them because we're up on the roof all dressed in black. Yeah, I think I still had some of my spooky, the fucking blackface makeup, camouflage. So we would throw the fucking, the eggs down and shit. And we'd do that. None of that toilet paper and shit. That's fucking.
That sounds basic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds like some suburban shit.
We'd have shaving cream fights.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Where you get like cans of shaving cream and just fucking go to town on each other.
Looking like what's it called? Like delinquents. They love the shaving cream. Man.
Now. Yeah, shaving cream and eggs. Now, I'm going to tell you, we never stole stuff. Like, we never did bag snatching. That we never did.
At least you had some morals.
Oh, I had some morals.
Yeah.
God damn it. We would destroy property and make people stink for a day. But I'm not stealing kids' candy.
Yeah. You're like
I draw a line somewhere,
You
sir.
reminded me of like Tony in Scarface when they want to kill that, what do you call it? That jug czar or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no kids, man. You fuck that.
You know, no kids. No women's.
Yep.
See, no kids and no women.
See, that was the opposite. Okay, so my senior year of high school, my friends and I decided, let's go trick-or-treating. Like it's our last year in high school. We're going to be going to college. Let's just go trick-or-treating.
We had very different high school lives.
I was about to say.
We had very different high school
And I was
lives.
like taken aback. I was actually weirded out at first. Like, aren't we a bit too old for trick-or-treating? But then I realized, you know what? You're never too old for free candy. Fuck it, let's do it.
We were sneaking beers at my Halloween.
We definitely had some different lives.
We definitely had different lives.
But here's the thing though. So I knew that my neighborhood, because I was still living at Morningside Apartments. Right. I knew that there was no trick or treat scene there.
Right.
So, but we lived in Scottsdale. So what we did was actually drive up to the hills to the
rich fancy folks.
Rich fancy.
They were
folks.
giving out Fabergé eggs for
clothes. What do you call it? That British candy? Toblerone or
Toblerone?
Toblerone candy.
Are you fucking serious?
Swear to God, man, dude, they went all out. Like they
Martha, bring the marzipan.
right, the marzipan.
The children are here.
So we just like went trick or treating in the affluent areas, and they were cool with it. Like we didn't get any weird looks or anything.
No, bro, it's like I was saying. If you got my youngest, she trick or treated until she was 15.
Yeah.
I mean, it got to the point where she wanted to go with her friends, not with her father.
Yeah.
But,
So here's the thing. Here's what makes it less weird. You have to go in a group.
yeah.
Or with someone. You can't go alone because you look weird. Because didn't we know somebody that did that?
Yes.
He went trick or treating.
Yeah.
He's in his early 20s and
I think he was in his mid-20s.
mid-20s. Yeah.
Yeah, he's in his 30s now. He probably still does.
Yeah.
You know
Honestly,
that.
I
wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was like our senior thing and everything. We went trick or treating together, and it was awesome. Like we got to see these cool $1,000 $1 million houses and everything.
Right.
They gave us the very fancy candy, but it felt great because before my senior year, didn't trick or treat a lot.
Right.
Because not only was the trick or treating scene dead in my neighborhood, but I didn't have anyone to go trick or treating with because they were outgrown of that and everything.
See, when I was an adult, we would stay. Well, one of us would stay home with the kids. I mean, one of us would stay home, and the other one would take the kids trick or treating. I always thought, honestly, one of my favorite things about taking my kids trick or treating was seeing the other kids' costumes, seeing all the fucking costumes.
Oh yeah.
I love doing that, and I love. If you're giving out candy, seeing the kids trick or treating. Here we live where the weather's fair enough that you can sit outside. I seen some people have barbecues in their cul-de-sac, and they'll put the communal bows out in one area so the kids could just go to one spot for every house on the block.
Yeah.
But they'll have different baskets representing every house, so you could take one from each. Or
that's
whatever.
what they did during COVID. Because in my neighborhood where I live at right now and everything, we couldn't they didn't want kids to go up to houses.
People's houses and breathe all on them.
Right. Yeah. So all the people in the neighborhood just had it was almost like a swap meet.
Yeah.
They had the tables with the candy and everything.
I like watching the videos where some people came up with some innovative ways. Like one dude, he put a zip line from his mailbox to his house. So when the kids would say trick or treat, he'd let the zip line go.
That's dope.
Bring them candy.
Yeah.
And then he'd pull it back for the next kid. I was like, that's cool.
That reminds me of what was it called? Dawn of the Dead, the remake, where they were talking with that one guy across the way, and they didn't zipline him food. They sent the dog.
Yeah. No, what my thing is that with that, like I said, I just love now where I live. My girlfriend's not too into opening the door on Halloween.
Yeah.
So we do the whole bucket out front and say take one or take a few, so the kids.
Yeah.
But I miss seeing the costumes. But now at my age, walking around the neighborhood looking at kids' costumes kind of look weird.
It would.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So
especially if you don't have kids.
But I got a grandson now, so.
There you go.
When he's old enough, we could take him out. Yeah.
So my girlfriend and I, we actually went trick-or-treating last year.
I remember.
Yeah. And
how'd that go?
It went well, actually.
Yeah.
So she lives in an apartment complex. So we drove to this one affluent neighborhood,
right,
which actually is known for where everybody goes in that part of the city. That's basically the go-to Halloween spot. So there'll be people that don't live in that neighborhood. They'll drive to that neighborhood and start trick-or-treating to take their kids and everything. So I was dressed as Bushido Brown from Boondocks.
Yeah.
And she was dressed as a pirate. And she actually had her gold doubloons, and she would give doubloons to kids who were dressed as pirates and everything. And so people thought we were cute. They thought it was cool to see grown-ups trick-or-treating and everything, because it was a cool Halloween date for us, and we had an awesome time. We also did the adult thing and looked at the houses,
right,
and everything. I wonder if this house is for sale. We should look it up on Zillow and everything.
Wow. That's awesome. Well, at least you guys have fun. And
and the folks they loved it. They thought we were really cute. There was one lady that was a bit of a Karen. She says, God. "Oh, I'm sorry, but this candy is for the kids." I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever. We're not gonna cause a stink.
Take a shit on your front door."
Right. We're like, okay then. And so the next house we went to, they asked, "So are people treating you well? Are they giving you candy?" And they're like, yeah. Except one lady, and we tell her about the lady. She's like, she's a bitch. Anyway, listen, come to our house. We'll hook you up. We got you. And sir, we respect you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Well,
so, but yeah, it was fun though. Like honestly, I think that should be normalized as adults trick or treating together. Yeah.
Well, on that note, see, as an adult, you can still trick or treat. Don't hate on it.
Yep.
Anything else you want to add before we get to get out of here?
Well, you know, I'm looking forward to this month, man, because we're gonna, like we said, like we have a lot of like episodes, with like a different themes and everything. So
Absolutely.
like haunted house memories, Halloween party memories, favorite Halloween specials, and of course favorite horror movies.
Yep. And on Halloween traditions. So with that, I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us. Remember to follow us on social media at The Minorities Report and Minorities Report 2.0 on TikTok. Also, go ahead and link on one of those to our link tree. You can go in our bio and you can hit our link tree. We have some merchandise for sale if you want to rock our merch. I put some new designs up on there. So with that being said, we will see you.
I've been watching you. I know what you've been doing. You can't hide from me. I'm always here, even when you're asleep.